Greetings, denizens of the internet. In this Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition video, Brian is going to teach you how to play your Barbarian. Specifically, we'll cover your Barbarian features up to level 5, and show you how you can incorporate those features into your combat and roleplay. My name is Brian Carey, and I am the Savvy Barbarian. Greetings, denizens of the internet. Hey, we're recording over here. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, or Guild Wars, or one of the many other role-playing game video games, you'll notice that at the beginning, they only give you one or two abilities. It doesn't start you off very powerful, but this is a good thing, because it gives you some time to learn what those abilities do. If the good folks at Blizzard just dumped 50 abilities on our action bars right away, we probably never would learn to play that character correctly. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is set up in a similar way. We start off with only one or two features at the beginning of each level, and with every level progression, we get a couple more features. I'll show you today how to play your Barbarian's features so that you can play him well, in combat as well as in roleplay. Level 1. When you start with a Barbarian character, you have a 12-sided hit die to start off with. That's the most of any other class. So having 14 hit points to start is pretty reasonable. That's more than any other class. Because Barbarians! And you'll need it, because you're going to be right in the thick of things. The first feature you get at level 1 is Rage. With Rage, you fight with unbridled fury. But you can only do it twice per day, and then you'll need a long rest before you can do it again. Dungeons & Dragons is at its heart a game of balancing resources, so you'll want to know when to rage and when to save them. And you'll use this Rage feature throughout your Barbarian's lifetime. It remains useful the entire time you're playing him. There are some great advantages to raging, and all you have to do is tell your dungeon master, "I rage." And on your turn, you rage and you get additional benefits. Rage lasts for 1 minute of in-game time. Combat is measured in turns. Each turn lasts for 6 in-game seconds, so your rage will last you for 10 turns. While you're raging, you'll get advantage on strength checks and saving throws. For those new to the game, advantage means you roll your 20-sided dice twice, and since you have advantage, you take the higher of the two rolls. So if you rolled a 10 and a 15, you get the 15. It makes a lot of difference. Rolling with advantage is huge advantage. But that's not all. Rage also gives you bonus rage damage against your foes. At level 1, you get +2, and the bonus damage remains +2 throughout the first 5 levels. Oh, but there's even more. Rage gives you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. This is huge. Bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage aren't the only types of damage in the game, but they're the primary types of melee damage. Having resistance to those means that when you're attacked, after all the modifiers are applied, after all the bonuses are added on, your Barbarian will only take half that damage. Coupled with all those hit points you started off with, this makes you a very survivable character. When you roleplay your rage, you may be tempted to stand up, tear off your shirt, and flip over the table. I recommend against this. Sure, it's funny the first dozen times, but after a while people get tired of putting the table back up on its legs and picking up all the chip dip and Cheetos from the floor. I suggest cultivating a deep, subdued rage. I rage. Or something similar will cause less ire from your companions. I did play with a guy who played a halfling barbarian. It was actually pretty funny to have a 3-foot-tall bundle of fury. He made a voice like the Lollipop Gang from The Wizard of Oz. I rage! It was great. At level 1, you also get a feature called Unarmored Defense. This is a pretty nice little feature. It means you don't even need armor, and you can have a very nice armor class, because shirtless barbarians. Your armor class is calculated by taking 10, plus your Constitution modifier, plus your Dexterity modifier. And you can still add a shield. A barbarian with a shield can easily achieve at level 1 an armor class of 15 or 16. Not bad for a level 1 character with no shirt on. That means unmodified rolls against you only have about a 20% chance of hitting you. Another benefit one of our party members found out is donning and doffing your armor. The player's handbook actually makes you take 5 minutes to put on and take off your armor. In the middle of a goblin raid, this can seem like an eternity. But if you're a barbarian, you don't have to worry about the donning and doffing delays. When role-playing, some characters will adopt the voice of their character. Others will actually dress the part. When you roleplay Unarmored Defense, do not take your shirt off. Instead, make the occasional reference to wiping your enemy's blood off your glistening pecs. And you can taunt other players by mentioning how their movements and dexterity must be restricted by wearing all that heavy armor. Also, don't neglect to use your rages. You're going to go through 4 to 8 combat encounters per adventuring day, and you want to make sure you get those benefits. Don't let them go by. You'll be tempted to try and save them for the most needed encounter that you'll face. Don't bother doing that. Sure, you might recognize that a particular encounter isn't very difficult and you won't need the rage. However, even if you're out of rages, it's a lot of fun to roleplay that feature as well. Roleplay that you want to go into a rage, you're trying, but you just can't quite bring yourself to the level of anger necessary to unleash the fury that's in your soul or some such thing. It's a lot of fun to watch a frustrated barbarian try to rage and not be able to. Level 2. At level 2, you'll roll the 12-sided dice and then add your Constitution modifier. Then add this number to your existing hit points. That's your new hit point total. And you'll like that. It'll feel like you've got a lot more survivability hit points and breathing room than you had before. At level 2, you get a new feature. It is called Reckless Attack. It is an incredible feature that allows you to throw all caution to the wind, not caring for your own safety or anyone else's. You get advantage on strength-based attacks, and you can do it all day long. It doesn't require rages. It doesn't require anything. You can just have it. Again, when we say advantage, what we mean is we roll the 20-sided dice twice and take the larger of the two numbers, ensuring that you hit much more often. But there are a few downsides, a few quid pro quos, if you will. The downside is that all attacks made against you also get advantage. But that's why you have all those extra hit points in the first place. Use your reckless attacks. They're a lot of fun, and they can cause a lot more carnage because you're hitting your opponent a lot more often. To take that opponent down, you have to be able to hit him. Besides, you've got a healer in the party, right? The second feature you get at level 2 is Danger Sense. Danger Sense is cool. Things that you can see or hear that have a dexterity saving throw allow you to have advantage on that dexterity saving throw. So when you build your character, don't neglect the dexterity. The caveat with Danger Sense is you have to be able to see the thing or hear the thing that causes you the problem. So you can't be blinded, incapacitated, unconscious, drunk, that sort of thing. When you're ready to roleplay Danger Sense, I suggest you hearken back to a time in your youth when you... and then bring that background into play. You remember backgrounds, right? Who knows, maybe it was something the wolves taught you when you were raised by them. Or perhaps your background is that of royalty, and a barbarian horde came and destroyed your city and kidnapped you as a youth. But you remember some of your training, some of the things they taught you. It's a good opportunity to bring your background into the story flow. Level 3. Welcome to Level 3. Once again, take 7 plus your Constitution modifier, or roll the 12-sided dice and add your Constitution modifier, and add that to your hit points. That's your new hit point maximum. You'll do that every single level from now until level 20. Level 3 is where things get so much more fascinating for the barbarian. At this level, you have to choose your primal path. You have 2 choices. First, the path of the berserker. Second, The Path of the Totem Warrior. The Path of the Berserker is focused on pure combat rage. It's a lot of fun to play, and you get some nice bonuses. We'll go over those. You can also choose Path of the Totem Warrior. In this path, you get to choose a spirit animal. You get certain aspects of that animal. This adds to your combat capabilities, as well as adding new roleplay abilities to your character. Path of the Berserker. In Path of the Berserker, your love of violence and the sweet, sweet sound of skulls cracking together allow you to hone your rage into a symphony of devastating chaos. At level 3, if you choose Path of the Berserker, you get the Frenzy ability. Frenzy means that when you rage, you get an extra attack as a bonus attack for every turn that you are frenzying. That's a free hit and can make all the difference between winning and losing in an encounter. The downside? Yes, there's a downside. As I said, Dungeons & Dragons is a game of balancing resources. If you have chosen to frenzy, when your rage ends, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. At level 1 of exhaustion, that means you're getting disadvantage on ability checks. But to be honest, not a lot of Dungeon Masters actually use the exhaustion rule. I don't. I'm not even sure the people at Wizards of the Coast do. It's not even on the character sheet. So if your Dungeon Master doesn't use the exhaustion rule, this is pure gravy. Cha-ching! Use it every single time that you rage. But if your Dungeon Master does use the exhaustion rule, you want to make sure to eat, drink, and get a long rest after every time you use it. Otherwise, you're going to start suffering some terrible side effects due to exhaustion. When you roleplay your frenzy, make sure to point out your brutal swiftness and unrelenting attacks. After all, nobody else at this level is getting an extra attack, but you are, and you're probably saving the party's hide all the time. Not all classes even get an extra attack, and those that do only get it at level 5. But you also get an extra attack at level 5. We'll talk more about that later. Path of the Totem Warrior. With Path of the Totem Warrior, you get a spirit animal. It's not a real animal, but a manifestation of your spiritual journey. There are 3 basic classifications of what spirit animal you'll get: the bear, the wolf, or the eagle. Your Dungeon Master will probably allow slight variations on this. For example, if you choose the bear, you might also choose the grizzly. If you're an evil-aligned character, you might pick a polar bear. And if you're playing a halfling barbarian, I suggest you choose the teddy bear. Choosing the bear spirit animal gives you resistance to all damage except psychic damage while raging. You have a very tough character. If, however, you choose the eagle, some variations might include a raven, a bloodhawk, maybe even a pseudo-dragon. An evil-aligned character might pick a harpy or a periton. Choosing the eagle forces other creatures who are attacking you to have disadvantage on opportunity attacks for as long as you're raging and not wearing heavy armor. Choosing the eagle gives you another advantage as well. You get a dash action as a bonus action on your turn. This is important where mobility is concerned. You could conceivably move your speed, then as your action, move your speed again, then use dash as a bonus action and move your speed a 3rd time, all in your 1 turn. Very effective for escapes, as well as rushing your opponents. Barbarians love rushing their opponents. The final spirit animal choice is the wolf. You could also choose a direwolf, a mastiff, or a blink dog. An evil character might pick a winter wolf, a warg, or a hellhound. Choosing the wolf gives you advantage on all attack rolls, not just for you, but for all of your friends against any creature who's hostile against you within 5 feet of you. This is huge. And the Path of the Wolf allows everybody to hit your opponents a little bit easier. Also, if you choose Path of the Totem Warrior, you get 2 spells. A barbarian doesn't get any other spells. This is his 1 opportunity to get spells. You get Speak with Animals and Beast Sense. However, these spells are cast as rituals. Rituals means, on the good side, that they don't take up any spell slots, so you can cast them as often as you like. On the bad side, they take 10 minutes at minimum each to cast. Also, since you don't have spell slots, you can't cast them as higher level spells. The Beast Sense spell allows you to touch any willing beast, and for the length of that spell, you can see through that creature's eyes, hear through that creature's ears, and learn all the things that that creature would learn. And you continue to do so until you use your action to come back to your senses. The roleplay for this one just writes itself. The Speak with Animals spell is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You get a brief moment to speak with animals. You can communicate with them. This spell is limited by the animal's intelligence. They may not be able to gather all the information that you want from them. You might also be able to persuade that animal to do small tasks for you, at the Dungeon Master's discretion, of course. I imagine role-playing all of this as a Native American warrior, in touch with nature and communicating with his spirit beast. The clothes and armor of the barbarian who chooses Path of the Totem Warrior will no doubt be adorned with etchings and carvings of his spirit beast. If you had to kill your spirit beast, you would be brought to tears. You might even refuse to kill an animal that was your spirit beast. Time to update the flaws section of that character sheet. Level 4. By level 4, you'll probably have about 40 hit points. 4 is always a great level perk, because it's time for ability score improvements. You can improve one ability by 2 points, or 2 abilities by 1 point each. Strength is your primary attribute. You'll want to put at least 1 point in strength, although you cannot exceed 20 points. The second point you could put in strength, but you can also make a case for putting it in constitution, or dexterity. Even wisdom makes a reasonable choice. If you put any points into constitution, try to hit an even number, like 12 or 14 or 16. That's where your modifier actually goes up. And when your constitution modifier goes up, your hit points go up. And those hit point bonuses are retroactive. So if your constitution modifier goes from +2 to +3, you get to go back and alter your hit points as if you had that constitution modifier of +3 the whole time. When you roleplay ability score improvement, you might wake up that morning and exclaim to everyone, "I feel better." You see, it's okay for you to recognize that you've improved. Your character would understand this, and I would not call it metagaming for your character to understand that they had improved over time. Metagaming is, of course, when your character understands the game is a game. It's breaking the fourth wall, so to speak. Like when you know your dungeon master is going to cheat for you so that your whole party doesn't get wiped out. Your character should not know that. He shouldn't even be aware that there's a dungeon master. When they were a younger character, perhaps a couple of skeletons could have wiped them out, but now they could defeat a whole handful of orcs without that much trouble. They can recognize that they've made improvements, just like anybody would recognize they've made improvements in the gym. Level 5. At level 5, you're at about 50 hit points. This is when your barbarian character really comes into his own. He hits like a hypoglycemic Sasquatch. Hangry? The word is hangry? He hits like a hangry Sasquatch. The feature you get at level 5 that you'll be most excited about is Extra Attack. Extra Attack is exactly what it sounds like. On your action, you get 2 attacks where you formerly had 1. This is not your bonus action. Your action is 2 attacks. Congratulations, you've just doubled the amount of damage you do every turn. Back at level 3, if you chose Path of the Berserker, you also have a Frenzy action. When you rage, you can also choose to Frenzy. If you do, you get another attack as a bonus action. This is a 3rd attack in your turn. You can conceivably do 3 times the damage you could previously do. So much pain. Little roleplay advice here is necessary because you can now bask in the glory of saving everyone's life multiple times and murdering everything that moves. You're welcome. And to make the barbarian just a little more super, you also get fast movement. This means your speed goes up by 10 on top of whatever you had before. Congratulations, you're now the fastest character in the party. But it only works if you're not wearing heavy armor. Enjoy racing far ahead of your companions and taunting them about how slow they are and how much their heavy armor weighs them down. Remind the wizard that he needs more cardio. Congratulations, your barbarian is now level 5, and you hit like Thor's Mjolnir hooked to a jackhammer. You know how to use your barbarian's features, you know how to roleplay them. Go back and watch Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan for additional inspiration. Clearly you'll agree that the barbarian class is the best class in all of Dungeons & Dragons. If you disagree, feel free to leave your comments in the trumpery below. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed today's barbarian guide. And now, noble warrior, I'm giving you a noble quest. All you need to do is scroll down, click on the subscribe button, and the like button, and the bell, and then you can consider your life leveled up. If you'd like to support this channel, I don't have a Patreon or anything, but I do have links to a couple books that I've written that have been heavily inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. I've got links to them at iBooks, Amazon, and all the places where books are sold. They're in ebook, they're in print. Feel free to give them a purchase. You'll put maybe $5 in my pocket, and I'd really appreciate that. And it'll support the channel and help me make more of these videos. This is Brian Carey reminding you to be a scholar and a barbarian.